Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wellness and Beauty from the Inside Out. I'm Maggie Jacqua. I'm the content director of Whole Foods Magazine, and I am honored to be your moderator for today's webinar. Thank you all for joining us. So as we all know, the Nutri-Beauty trend is booming, and today, Dr. Karin Hermoni of Lycored Global Head of Science, she's going to present an update on the latest science and the latest innovations. And that includes a look at Lycored's Beauty from Within portfolio of proprietary tomato-based ingredients and vitamins that are designed to provide wellness from the inside out. At the end of today's presentation, Karin will be answering any questions that you have. So during the talk, please type your questions into our Q&A box, and we'll monitor those and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation before we wrap up today. If you have any technical issues or just to share comments and say hi to everybody out here watching, you can post those in the chat. And if you have any technical issues, as I said, post those there and our team will be here to assist you. We are going to be covering a lot of ground in this talk today, and I want to let everybody know that the webinar will be available on demand. So you'll be able to review the presentation again at your convenience. And also we encourage you to let your colleagues who weren't able to join us live, maybe because they're in a different time zone or they had other obligations right now, share the link with them, let them know, and so that they can get this great information as well. And so now we're ready to dive in. Karin, I will turn the stage over to you.
Hello, Maggie, and thank you. I'm really excited to be here today and speak about our beauty from within. And actually, on a personal level, seeing the inner beauty in everything, in nature and in all of us is one of the things that fascinates me the most. So I'm really excited to be able to be here and speak to you about it today. So just to double check that you see my screen okay, and then we can start.
Yep, looks good.
Perfect. So at Lycored, we are inspired to cultivate wellness. Our work is guided by three pillars: nature, science, and humanity. Nature, well, that's natural. Everything we do comes from nature. And therefore, it's only natural that we seek to synergize with nature and to preserve it. We use our science and technology in order to bring nature to everyday life in the most potent way for people to enjoy, from basic R&D and all the way to clinical substantiation. And our focus on humanity is what drives our innovation, what inspires us to keep perfecting our delivery and application mechanisms so that the products are not only efficacious, but are also enjoyable and appealing. And in fact, the science of humanity was an important part of our journey in Beauty from Within. And it goes far beyond the experience of our products. We are inspired to understand what makes us feel beautiful and how can we amplify that. And it starts with self-love, kindness to ourselves and kindness to others. And it is also about feeling included, connected, and having a sense of community. And these thoughts of inclusion and community are an important way of the way we perceive ourselves. And so it was also an important part of our journey in terms of the Lycored brand experience and also in terms of the clinical program. And we will touch on those aspects over the next hour or so today. We view wellness and beauty as a holistic journey, and we strive to be a partner to the manufacturers and to the brands across different elements of this journey. So we offer a full solution range of products, wellness solution and beauty solutions, as well as solutions for formulation and application needs, such as color, taste, and texture. All of these are designed to bring to life the products that, as I said, are both efficacious and appealing. And knowing that compliance, the fact that people will want to continue and take the product is an important part of the journey, is just what inspires us to combine all these different aspects and allow a good experience. So today we are going to explore Lycored's flagship product, Lycomato. And I already mentioned that our approach with beauty nutrition goes far beyond the product. And the first example of that is the Letter of Love initiative. This initiative is an invitation to love yourself. It is a reminder that self-acceptance is the first ingredient we need to nourish ourselves with. So if there is one thing you will take from this session today, may it be a bit of self-compassion. And I can share that from my own experience. It's not always easy, but it's always rewarding. And if you find it within yourself today, I invite you to take a moment right now to recognize something that you love about yourself, something that makes you feel good, that makes you feel beautiful, or simply acknowledge an effort that you made. Be kind to yourself, put the judgment aside, be soft, be loving, and you won't regret it, I promise. So if you feel comfortable, I invite you to share in the chat, just to warm up the atmosphere, one thing that makes you feel beautiful, or one thing that you feel proud about. And let's give it a minute and just all of us try to connect to this experience. And by the way, if this is something personal and you don't feel comfortable sharing it in the chat, that's totally good. And a mental note is a really great start. And one tip I will say before we start is that sometimes for those moments and for those of us who really struggle with, having a self-love moment, sometimes it helps to start with just thanking, or in our mind, thanking someone else, and that starts a positive cycle. So maybe the team in the production can help me, and I can, give it a start and share in the chat something of mine. And I invite all of you to do the same. And hopefully we will see some positivity here. And feel free to continue and do that as we speak. It's far more important than anything we can say about clinical trials. But now that we feel more connected to ourselves and to others, hopefully, I will continue by saying that one of the narratives that guided us through our clinical program is this understanding that acceptance and inclusion is something we want to bring into self-care and into skincare. And so we see ingestible skincare as a platform for inclusivity. And unlike topical skincare, where literally in its essence, topical skincare needs to penetrate through the skin barrier. And that emphasizes the differences between us, the different skin types, the different skin properties. Whereas when we consume our skincare from the inside, the ingredients simply meet us on the cellular level. Also, it is important to understand that wellness is a lifelong journey, and both beauty and wellness does not end with what we put into our body or what we put on our skin. It is a holistic journey of body, mind, and soul. So the Little Glow app was designed to provide little pops of positivity each day, understanding that physical, mental, and emotional well-being are as much part of our beauty journey as our skincare products. And lastly, being one with nature, synergizing with nature and preserving it is, as I said, so natural for a brand that its mission is to bring nature to everyday life. So it is our mission to find ways to provide sustainability and improve sustainability and minimal waste throughout our production process. So inspired by the beautiful tomatoes in our fields, our team was inspired to cultivate beauty inside and out. Carotenoids are natural plant pigments with known health benefits. I like to think of carotenoids as part of nature's way of adding color and beauty to the world, from beautiful flowers like the marigolds reaching lutein, through the vibrant hues of fruits, vegetables, and spices, and all the way to us humans, helping us cultivate our natural, healthy glow. It is important to note that as humans don't produce carotenoids, so we basically rely on nutrition or supplementation to build and preserve that healthy reservoir. Being natural pigments, when we ingest carotenoids, they in fact can enhance our natural skin hues and emphasize our natural beauty, literally helping us show our true colors. So a glimpse into the Lycored tomato portfolio. Our flagship product is the Lycomato, and it was researched for overall wellness and many different health benefits over the last 20-something years. And in order to incorporate lycopene into dry applications, we developed different microencapsulation techniques, allowing the stable and efficient delivery of this active into more final applications, such as tablets, dry beverages, gummies, etc. And we will touch on that towards the end. Additionally, we developed nutrient complexes such as the Lycoderm, combining our tomato extract with rosemary extract for extra synergistic benefits. And the newest addition to the Lycored portfolio is the Lycomato from the golden tomato, which hopefully will get a webinar of its own sometime soon. And as I mentioned, today we will be focusing on Lycomato. And Lycomato actually went through a refresh or a rejuvenation process, building its strong value proposition in the beauty from within or beauty nutrition. And in the beginning of our journey, we actually thought that lycopene is the one tomato hero, the royal nutrient carrying all the benefits. However, through our scientific research, we realized that lycopene is not the end of the road. In fact, it's just the beginning. And in fact, it is the synergy and the combined effect with the different tomato phytonutrients that are working together, driving the overall effect and amplifying it. So lycopene is the red pigment driving the tomato, giving the tomato its beautiful red color. And you can see on the left over here that the tomato extract is standardized for several key tomato phytonutrients. These include other carotenoids such as the phytoin and phytofluin, which are the colorless carotenoids, beta-carotene, as well as the naturally occurring vitamins such as vitamin A and vitamin E, all of them working synergistically together. And in fact, their physical properties already teach us about the complementary effect that they have. Having an absorption spectra, as you can see here on the right, that is complementary and covers a broad spectrum of visible light, UV light in UVA and UVB. However, it's not only in the physical properties. Actually, the real magic happens on the biological level, where we see that these nutrients synergize to activate different cellular processes together and help the skin cope with different challenges far beyond just coping with the exposure to light or to UV. And the natural presence of vitamin A and vitamin E that are well recognized for their skin supporting properties and also allow for labeling perspective in terms of claims and benefits, which I will also touch a bit more towards the end. So through our clinical research, we addressed benefits related to skin health and skin nourishment in different mechanisms, as well as benefits related to skin appearance and aging beautifully. And now we will see how those mechanisms of action work from the inside and how it looks and feels from the outside as well. So starting with skin health. And before we go deep into the skin health properties, if there is a second thing that I want you to come out from this session with is some mindful approach to the way we eat our salad. So we get all these goodness when we eat, but how do we absorb it and what are we really ingesting? So carotenoids are oil soluble, and so they are best absorbed when consumed with some healthy fats. So, the next time that you're having a salad, consider adding some olive oil or even avocado or cheese just to help that absorption. So, the second assignment from this session is a salad with olive oil and a love letter to yourself. Sounds like a pretty good recipe, right? Now that we know how to get the most nourishment out of our salad, let's see how do we get the most nourishment from our tomato extract. So first to mention that Lycored is using a special strain of non-GMO tomatoes that is rich in lycopene, far more than the tomatoes that we buy at the grocery stores. It's also maybe less appealing in taste, but that's good because all we want is to extract all that goodness for the supplement or for the functional ingredient. And our unique extraction process allows us to optimize that bioavailability and allow all that oil-soluble tomato phytonutrients to be absorbed in the best way. So lycopene, as I mentioned, is the red tomato carotenoid, phytoin and phytofluin, the colorless cousins, as well as the other oil-soluble vitamins like vitamin A and vitamin E. And so the first step in our program was looking at this concept of nourishment on the biological level. And we actually have a full bioavailability program through which we were able to show that supplementation with our wellness extract indeed nourishes the body and skin from the inside out. And what you can see here is an example from one of our studies where we looked at the dose response of absorbing the different carotenoids, the lycopene, phytoin, phytofluin, and beta-carotene. And all of them, as you can see, are significantly elevated, contributing to the buildup of this antioxidant reservoir we keep in our skin that helps us when we need it the most. So now we know that carotenoids are absorbed in our body, but how is that good for us? What do they do for us? And we started with a systematic approach to beauty, looking at the whole body response. And then we went further to zoom in on the skin-specific response. And in both, we identified that carotenoids help cultivate a calmness on the cellular level. We looked at the core mechanisms of action related to the stress response of our body, oxidative stress and inflammation. And what you can see here is the reduction in C-reactive protein on the left, which is a marker for inflammation. And on the right, you can see SOD, sodium oxide dismutase, which represents the response to oxidative stress. And of course, we know that lycopene itself and the different vitamins and carotenoids in the formula are antioxidants based on their chemical and physical properties, right? But in fact, what is beautiful to see is that it's not only their physical or chemical quenching properties to quench reactive oxygen species, but it's actually their ability to induce the body's own natural protection mechanisms and mechanisms that allow the body to better cope with oxidative stress. And so essentially, it doesn't matter where the stress is coming from, the coping mechanism is done in the same language of oxidative stress and inflammation. And so if we talked about the systemic approach and what happens on the entire body, so now zooming into what happens at the level of the skin, and an overall balance of oxidative stress and inflammation, coupled with a better ability to cope with stress, which is what we can see here. In this case, we are looking at balancing the skin's response to environmental challenges, or specifically the UV response. So participants were exposed in lab condition to UV, and we can see that they can better cope after the supplementation with this stress. And I want to say again that in this case we looked at environmental stress and the stress from UV exposure. However, it doesn't matter on the cellular level or the mechanistic level whether that stress is coming from external aspects or whether it's stress that is completely internal, whether we didn't sleep well or we are speaking live in a webinar. That is also a stressor. I can say that firsthand. And speaking of stress and relaxation, so now imagine you just received a really good massage and you come out all glowing. Well, that has a lot to do with that improved circulation and efficient blood flow. And in fact, we see that through our clinical program, that supplementation with tomato extract is a bit like massage from the inside, helping to improve and sustain healthy blood flow. And here we see the improved blood flow following supplementation. And by the way, this also starts a positive cycle, as when our blood flow is improved, the nutrient and oxygen delivery is also improved. So all that goodness that we had in the salad with the olive oil, it can be more efficiently distributed and delivered to where it needs to be. So naturally, the next phase in our program, after we saw this, effect on the ability to show better vitality on the through the blood flow, we went on and zoomed in to see how this vitality and wellness boost from within is really showing through our skin. And so we went ahead with a new study, which we call the Glow Up study. And in this study, a panel of 50 healthy women ranging in age from 35 to 55, women that wanted to improve their skin health and appearance, took part. And this study was conducted in the US. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we intentionally recruited women with different skin types and various ethnicities to see that inclusive effect and to be able to see what is the same and how can we be accurate to the different needs through skincare. So the participants took the Lycomato soft gel once daily for 3 months or 12 weeks. And they returned to the clinic for testing after 4 and 12 weeks of use. And this study was also, we made it a point to look at beauty more holistically, incorporating clinical parameters with results that we can see and feel. And in this respect, results were graded once by an expert assessing the participant's skin for results that you can see, and once by the participants themselves, capturing what they feel. What does this look like from their eyes? And of course, importantly, we also wanted to see what does that look like from our eyes, all of us. And so we took pictures of the participants before and after to see the same experience from each of our own perspectives. So skin attributes were assessed, as I mentioned, via an expert grader in a method that is very accurate by a trained expert according to a specific grading system. And in terms of clinical parameters, we also included an instrumental measurement that is looking at the skin barrier function. So what you see here are the results of the impact of the tomato carotenoids in Lycomato and how they actively improve the barrier function of our skin. And why is this so important? First, it's easy to understand that this barrier is literally what separates our body from the environment around us. And it is crucial, for keeping external damaging agents from getting in. Think bacteria, infection agents, pollution, and so on. Secondly, this lipid bilayer also helps seal the moisture inside our skin and our body so that we lose less water to our surrounding. And when this bilayer of cells is healthy, the skin stays more hydrated and looks more plump. But when the skin barrier is impaired, we lose water through our skin to the environment, and it becomes thin, dry, and wrinkly. And this is not only less attractive, but it is also less comfortable. It may cause itchiness or skin sensitivity, redness, and so on. So sustaining the skin from the inside may help maintain both its look and its comfort. And what you see here is the results from the transepidermal water loss assay. And indeed, supplementation with Lycomato, not only the skin barrier function was improved, but we can really see how that impacts on the appearance of the skin. And we see over here that there was an improvement in the appearance of facial lines and wrinkles. And fine lines and wrinkles are formed as we age, when our skin starts to lose collagen, which happens generally once we hit the mid-20s and continues over time. And also irregular thickening of the dermis and a decrease in the amount of water that can be held by the epidermis are some of the physiological changes that we perceive as wrinkles and loss of elasticity. And of course, these changes depend on the genetic background, on the skin phototype, and also on the exposure to both environmental and lifestyle factors. And now we can see what it looks like. So we can see that skin texture looks healthier, and we can see that the folds are softer, if you see it over here, in both sides. We also can see, a reduction in the wrinkle depth, as well as tightening. Oops, sorry. Tightening in the under eye area. You can see that over here. from before to after the supplementation. And overall, she just looks more refreshed. We can also see this example of the forehead lines and wrinkles over here that just look softer and shorter. And overall, she looks better. The next parameters that we looked at were that supplementation with Lycomato really improved the appearance of skin tonality, or in other words, everything related to the tone and color and evenness of our skin, whether that's, you know, the even skin, less pigmentation, and whether that's the undertone beneath our skin and how healthy it looks. In my case, for example, I tend to redness, so my undertone is red. And what we can see here is really an amazing result of reducing redness. And it's amazing to see how those parameters that we looked at the molecular level, you know, reduction in inflammation and oxidative stress, now we can see how that comes into play with real people in real life and make their skin healthier, more comfortable, less red, and so on. And by the way, redness can be the result of different things. It can be, you know, the results of us going into the sun, which often happens to me. A small amount of sun is enough to get my skin red, but it can also be related to something that is happening endogenously, internally in our body, stress, lack of sleep, and so on. And in this case, we looked at the basal redness, so without any external you know, exposure to UV or anything like that. And this complements our previous studies where we also looked at the response to UV. And lastly, dark spots intensity. And, you know, pigmentation or skin color is the result of a pigment called melanin, which is made by the skin cells. But many times, due to different inflammatory processes and so on, we get what we see as pigmentation. And in this case, it was amazing to see the extreme effect on reduction on pigmentation. You can see how this spot literally disappeared. Again, on the nose, the spot was so much less evident, as well as over here. And look at her eye area. It just looks healthier, more relaxed, less redness around the eyes, and also less lines below the eyes. And from here, moving to another aspect of skin, which is texture, roughness, and so on, which is many times the result of pore size. And we see that supplementation really improved the appearance of those facial pores. So pores are the circular shape or structure spread around the skin, and they are in fact the openings of our sweat gland canals. And pores in the facial skin surface naturally contain sweat and oil from the glands, and their enlargement may be caused by excessive necessity to secrete sebum and sweat by the skin to clear it. So, you know, the more toxins, the more oil and so on we need to get out, the more clogged our pores will get and the more visible they will be on the outside. So the skin just appears less smooth and more rough. And what we can see here is that according to the expert grader, there was really a significant improvement in skin pores and skin roughness. And I want to mention that in all these parameters that I just mentioned, we can see that the effect already starts at the 4 week time point. And the expert grader can already see an improvement, and you can see later on that also the participants themselves felt an improvement. And this improvement trend only gets better over time and reaching a fuller spectrum of benefits towards the end of the study at the 12-week time point. And by the way, one more thing is that in terms of the grading, as I mentioned, all of this was done based on a specific scale and with different methodologies to make sure that the study is done in the best possible way. And so this grading score is usually a 10 scores system from 0 to 10 or from 0 to 9. No one gets a 10, right? And this is standardized throughout the different, between the subject and throughout the different time points. So this is what it looks like when we are looking at the pores, and we can literally see that the pores look less visible and less enlarged. The skin texture overall looks better, and the skin is less red again and looks healthier. And you can see it here in a different view where we can see that the skin roughness again is improved and the visual appearance is improved. And this, by the way, can be caused by compromised barrier that allows water to evaporate from the deeper layers of the skin into the environment. And lastly, supplementation with Lycomato also reduced the sagging of the skin, significantly improving skin firmness. And as we age, our skin goes through different changes and loses its structural proteins like the collagen, the elastin, the keratin, and all these processes are involved in the degradation of the different structures. And so what we can see here is really the result of the different mechanisms that are supporting, for example, collagen, which I will touch at the end, but just keep it in your mind that just by balancing the microenvironment and balancing the oxidative stress and inflammation, we are providing a better microenvironment for the collagen network to thrive. And so it's only natural that we can see that translating to improved firmness and less sagging of the skin. And I think this is an amazing example because overall this participant already started with really good skin properties. I wouldn't mind having that skin. And we can still see an improvement, see that line, whoops, on her cheek that was improved. And I think the one thing I loved most is that her testimony that we see on the left. And she says that the product improved my overall health and energy, as well as the appearance of my skin. Thank you. So how great is that? We are literally seeing that mechanism that we envisioned of supporting wellness from within in a way that also translates and glows on the outside. So that's truly our story in a nutshell. And lastly, I want to get into the subjective assessment. And in reality, it's not about clinical parameters, and it's not about what the expert is grading. It's about what the people who are taking the product are actually feeling. That's what we want to cultivate with the end consumers, and that's also what is driving this industry. People feeling better about themselves and wanting to continue and supplement. And so in this case, it was really rewarding to see that when participants were grading their own experience, their subjective experience, we can see an improvement in what they report as improvement in skin elasticity, firmness, and tightness, improvement in the fact that they feel their skin looks healthier and younger, and more hydrated and smoother. And of course, what we can see from the photos also, improvement in lines and wrinkles. And again, I want to draw your attention to the fact that this is a gradual process, and that after already only 4 weeks, participants were feeling a difference, and more of them were feeling a difference, and they felt a greater difference as we go through the study in the 12-week time point. So now zooming out a bit from the specific study with Lycomato and into speaking about Lycored wellness and beauty solutions, and how this all comes together. And I mentioned in the beginning that Lycored offers a solution, different solutions for functional ingredients to help facilitate an effect, as well as formulation and application solutions to support and help our partners bring these products to life. And in terms of the functional ingredients, Lycored offers a broad range of carotenoids and wellness extracts, as well as vitamins and minerals. And in order to deliver those all these goodness and important actives, Lycored also developed its delivery systems and microencapsulation technologies, as well as different formulation and application solutions to support this process with our real food ingredients and the natural colors portfolio. And overall, Lycored ingredients can be incorporated into a broad range of final applications, liquid or dry, from the classical soft gel, tablets and capsules, and through the more fun delivery systems like dry beverages, ready-to-drink beverages, gummies, and nutritional bars. So whatever solution you have in mind, and however you want to consume or to develop your beauty nutrition, you can find a solution within this broad range. And so the Lycored garden, the way I like to call it, is very colorful, with different carotenoids in different colors and shapes. All of them are beautiful, and all of them are helpful to us humans in their unique ways. And we love them all. You can say that we are also inclusive with our carotenoids. And so today, of course, we focused mainly on our red tomato portfolio, and specifically our Lycomato. But we have a yellow and golden tomato range, which is unique. And this golden range is a unique strain of tomatoes, which was developed specifically for its skincare attributes, and particularly an accurate solution for sensitive skin, or for those target audiences looking for colorless carotenoid solutions. Additionally, Lycored is really building its leadership with other carotenoids such as astaxanthin, which is not only a beautiful carotenoid on its own, but also complements well and synergizes with the lycopene. And Lycored actually owns a patent around this synergy. So stay tuned as we come live with more clinical studies around our astaxanthin portfolio. And to complement that yellow range of the spectrum, of the light spectrum, of course, there is also the lutein that has been researched for its beauty and skincare benefits. And lastly, the carotenoids such as beta-carotene and alpha-carotene, which are a source of vitamin A, which brings me to our vitamin and mineral portfolio. And our vitamin range complements well beauty and wellness formulations, whether it's vitamin A or E that are known for their skin supporting properties. And consumers are recognizing the importance of these vitamins because they are often incorporated into topical skincare products. And so naturally consumers also connect when they see these actives in their beauty nutrition products. And of course, one of the heroes in this space is vitamin C due to its role in collagen synthesis. So if you're formulating a beauty nutrition solution or any other product, you're invited to consult with our experts to see what vitamins, minerals, or actives work well for you and how to best incorporate those into your delivery systems and applications that you're looking for. And lastly, I mentioned in the beginning that rounding up the picture, also with our tomato portfolio, in fact, this extract naturally contains vitamins like vitamin A and vitamin E that are not only important for the efficacy and for driving a synergistic benefit, but also help us make claims on the label in territories like the EU, where we can connect to different EFSA claims based on the vitamin content. And to round up the picture, and just before we finish, of course, we cannot finish without mentioning the hero ingredient in the skincare world, which is collagen. And really, we found through our program that collagen and carotenoid are made for each other. It's like a beautiful marriage. And where collagen is strong, it is really strong. And, you know, there are so many evidence supporting the effects of collagen on skin firmness and texture and so on. And the beauty here by marrying these ingredients is that you can actually complement with a more holistic mechanism of action that helps support not only you know, all the types of collagen, whether it's our own collagen network, whether we are supplementing from outside, the different types of collagens and the different types of peptides. Any way we look at it, if we are helping to balance that microenvironment and help protect those sensitive molecules from degradation, there is already merit in this marriage. And of course, the carotenoids not only complement, but if needed, can serve as a vegan collagen booster. So complementing collagen with either our vitamin portfolio or our carotenoid portfolio really holds a lot of merit in it. And just as a small example, this is an example from our program showing how the tomato portfolio helps to not only balance the microenvironment, but really impact the degradation of collagen through influencing and modulating the levels of the key protein in collagen modulation, which are the MMP family of proteins, and thus helping to boost the natural collagen. And this translates not only in what is happening in the process of, you know, building and degrading collagen, but we can actually see how this looks when we are analyzing the carotenoid molecule itself. And we can see this is an example from our Lycomato or golden tomato portfolio, where we can see really a protection of the damaging effect of inflammation on the collagen network. So Key takeaways. What we saw today is that our tomato portfolio, and specifically our Lycomato product, is really a superfood for skin, meets different trends and standards of the industry, being a natural plant-based beauty from within solution, of course, made with non-GMO tomatoes, non-GMO project verified in this case, and grass, meeting these trends of vegetarian, vegan, allergen-free, and so on, and allowing a holistic mechanism of action, which is inclusive to gender, skin type, age, and so on, because at the molecular level, these mechanisms are relevant for all of us. Allowing a more systemic approach to beauty with addressing the wellness and the beauty aspects with a whole body approach, not only a local solution, and with a 24/7 approach, all along while supporting minimal waste and providing clean solutions free of skin irritants, which is many times a challenge for those brands looking to formulate topicals. And to mention that this portfolio is not only, as I mentioned, it provides a solution for overall wellness. So think carotenoids also when you're formulating different products for different indications. And I'll just finish by reminding all of us that although we just spent the entire session speaking about nutrition and how powerful and important it is, in reality, nutrition is just one piece of the puzzle. So be well, and thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. To everybody out there, we do have time for questions. So go ahead and submit your questions and we'll get those answered. And I also just want to say thank you for having us do the notes of encouragement. What a nice little hit of happy for our day and get those good vibes going. It's a great way to kick off the webinar. So thank you also to everybody who included their note in the chat. It was great to see what came in and see the different perspectives. So go ahead and post your questions in the Q&A. We do already have some questions in here, and we'll start with a question from Adam, which is transepidermal water loss synonymous with leaky skin?
So there is some connection, and transepidermal water loss basically represents the way we lose water to the environment. That's how we also measure in the actual assay. But of course, when we are, when the skin doesn't have a healthy barrier, then other things are also moving in and out, which we don't want them to. So definitely there is a connection.
And following up on that, does reduced pore size directly correlate to lower transepidermal water loss?
There is a correlation. It's not a one-to-one, but definitely part of the activity of, the role of our pores is to help get rid of the toxins and evaporate the sweat and evaporate the sebum and so on. So definitely, thank you for emphasizing the connection.
Excellent. And just to put in perspective, we were asked, how many tomatoes would I have to eat to get a similar dose of lycopene?
Yeah. So in this study, we used a 15 milligram dose. And generally speaking, that is equal to about 3 to 5 medium-sized tomatoes in terms of the lycopene content. However, I want to mention that, first of all, the Lycomato is not only the lycopene, so the USDA is tracking lycopene content, but this is also about the other tomato phytonutrients that we mentioned. And also to mention that one of the challenges is the seasonal variation. So the same tomatoes that we buy at the grocery stores in the summer and in the winter, they have different content of carotenoids and of lycopene. Sometimes we can see it, they are more or less red, but in reality, one of the missions that Lycored was striving for when developing this product is a way to standardize so that every batch really gives us the same level and the same ratios of actives, so we know that it will work for us in the same way.
Excellent. A question here about immunity. You had mentioned that skin barrier function is also important for immunity. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. So we looked at, the skin is on one hand, the externals of our body, it's the wrapper, but it's also an immune organ, and it's a biologically active organ. And so the first question was about, we talked about the fact that the skin is an important organ just to help keep challenges out, whether it's UV or whether it's pathogens and bacteria and so on. So just the concept of the skin barrier function already tells us about its immunity properties. Even more than that, we know that skin contains immune cells. And actually, immune cells like macrophages and neutrophils and so on are present in our skin. When we face a challenge, these skin cells are being recruited to the place of the challenge. If we have a wound, then those immune cells are coming to help with wound healing and so on. And this is an important part of healing. We want to keep that. But one of the challenges that comes with it is the fact that this response also includes throwing a big amount of inflammatory and oxidative molecules in order to cope with the bacteria and to cope with the challenges and so on. So it's a healthy mechanism on one hand, but on the other hand, it causes damage to our skin, it causes degradation to our collagen and so on. So with nutritional solutions, we are able to just balance this response and make sure that it doesn't go overboard and make sure that our collagen is supported through this healthy immune response.
All right, excellent. Just a reminder, we have a few more minutes left. So if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A. We have a few more that have come in and I want to try to get through as many as we can. We're asked, do carotenoids absorb better than ingestible skincare versus more traditional approaches to beauty with topical products? And how do you see the opportunity in terms of combining them?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And I think today there are more and more brands that are looking to be solution providers for beauty regimens and include both topical and ingestible. And we can see this trend of, topical companies already looking at ingestible solutions and vice versa. And in terms of carotenoids, what I like about it is that, first of all, we know that carotenoids are best absorbed from the inside. Of course, they are also absorbed when you're using a topical skin, but think about it. When you're using a topical, you need to penetrate through the different layers of the skin. And that is a hard process to do. And that also, as I said, emphasizes the differences between us. You and I have different skins, and penetrating through this barrier is a challenge. That's also the challenge of the cosmetics and makeup industry, how to, align with the needs of the different skin types. And when we are looking at ingestible delivery, first of all, we are using the natural delivery mechanism that nature created for us. We are just using that delivery in order to bring those nutrients to the skin. And second of all, we have the best situation in order to nourish the most inner layers of our skin, because we are starting from the inside and we are literally influencing at the root. So we have the ability to create a more impactful change. And lastly, I want to mention that several studies have shown that while carotenoids are being absorbed from topicals, they are being absorbed even better from ingestibles. And when you combine topical and ingestible, you can even further stretch and get a better content of carotenoids in your skin. So the combination is, the best approach.
Excellent. Okay, another question came in asking about if there would be a benefit for people with rosacea.
Yes. That's a good question. And I want to remind us that theoretically, dietary supplements from a regulatory perspective are not supposed to cure, treat, or prevent any condition or disease. So it may be a little bit more complicated to claim directly on different conditions. But generally speaking, I want to say that this is really the core mechanisms of rosacea. You know, rosacea is an inflammatory condition that is associated with redness, and all these mechanisms are, you know, exactly what we see in terms of the mechanisms of carotenoids in the body, in the skin.
Excellent. We're just at time, but we have another question that I just have to keep you another minute to ask. Please discuss the opportunity with male grooming and male beauty. Is this product relevant?
Another excellent question. And the answer is yes. And I want to say that in this study, we actually looked at women, and actually, you know, I think generally in the pharma and also in the supplement world, actually there is a trend that looks at the fact that many of the studies are being done on male population, and there is an increased tendency to incorporate women into the clinical study. And as a researcher, I can say that it's not because researchers don't like women or don't care about, you know, how women respond, but it's because it's way more complex in terms of the hormonal cycle, the monthly cycle, in terms of the life stages, and so on. And so we actually made it a point to start with a study that, you know, looks at women. However, as I mentioned, the mechanisms are definitely relevant. And in previous studies where we looked at UV response and different attributes for skin, we did have a combined population. And generally, it's definitely a good solution to provide support for male beauty, male grooming, and so on, which is also a trend we see growing in the industry. So very interesting to follow up on.
Yeah, so much opportunity here. Well, that does leave us at time. So I want to thank you, and thanks to Lycored for bringing us this education. As I noted at the top of the hour, this will be available on demand. So you'll be able to view it again or let your colleagues who couldn't join us know. And we just want to thank everybody for joining us and wish you all a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.